Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unleashing Presence Mindfulness for a Transformed Life. I'm going to give you everything I've got today in regards to presence and mindfulness. And so you'll get a lot out of today. You'll walk away today with a few really good things to consider and to work on. And once I'm done going through that, I will let you know a little bit about how to work with me further. Don't worry, it's only $5.97, but we'll discuss that after. Really take in everything that is, that we're talking about today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Leslie, and I am a psychiatric nurse therapist. I have been for over 30 years. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, soul care coach, and a Reiki master. And all that means, there's a lot of initials there, and all that means is that I've taken some training in some places that are near and dear to my heart, that my time as a psychiatric nurse was rewarding, but what I found was that a lot of people were stuck in kind of this endless loop of therapy and not really moving on from that. And so I decided to change that for myself in taking some other trainings that really look at things from a holistic perspective. So I look at things from the conscious, the subconscious, and a soul level, because I think that's where the real healing is. So that's why I'm here. That's why I talk about this. I really feel like this is really important for people to know. And I really think it's important for all of you to know here today. So welcome. Thank you for being here. So we're going to talk about presence. And I want to start with just asking you what presence or mindfulness means to you. And you can either talk about it, or you can put it in the chat, whichever works for you. What is presence or mindfulness to you? What does it mean to you?
For me, it means being in the present moment, like just being right here, right now, focused on what's going on right now, not in the past or future. And then also engaging with it, like observing
with
and
the present.
engaging. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, Denise. So being right here, right now, not in the past, not in the future, right here, right now, engaging with this time. Anybody else have some thoughts on what presence or mindfulness means?
Being consciously aware of what you're doing at the moment that you're doing it.
Being consciously aware of what you're doing in the moment and why you're doing it. Is that what you said, Sandra?
Yes, like whether it's automatic or, out of habit or intentionally.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sandra. Anyone else? So, those are both right. It really is about being in this present moment. I think many people mistake presence or mindfulness for just being quiet or meditating. And I'm here to tell you that there's so much more to being present, or to presence or mindfulness, than meditating. I do think that it is a very important part of mindfulness and of life to take those quiet times, but that is just a small part of what mindfulness truly is. And so let me tell you, when I look at mindfulness, and I did a lot of studying through one of the gurus called John Kabat-Zinn, and he's been around for a very long time, and he's still just as chill as the first time I've seen him. He's so calm and so relaxed, and he's so present. And he originally developed his mindfulness practice for people with chronic pain. And it just is so important for us to be present or to be mindful, that it's for anything in life, any kind of mental health, physical health, and manifesting. I mean, manifesting what you want in life is really an important piece that happens when we're mindful or present. So let me tell you what his definition of mindfulness is. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. And then he likes to add, in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. So when I look at this, this definition of mindfulness, it really, for me, really tells me that mindfulness isn't just about being quiet. It is about being here in this present moment, just like you said, Denise, and just like you referred to, Sandra. It is about being here in this moment. But the other piece is you're on purpose. So you're purposefully staying present and non-judgmentally. How many have a hard time with the judgment?
Oh,
Trying
I
to
do.
stay non-judgment. You're right. You're right. This is a practice. So this is the thing that I want to, remind you of, is that this is not a perfect. This is a practice, and the practice of mindfulness and being non-judgmental is it takes time. It takes time, and it takes purposeful practice. But I'm telling you, it changes your life. The more presence you have in your life, it changes it incredibly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about John Kabat-Zinn has 8 mindfulness attitudes. And those mindfulness attitudes might sound familiar to those who are in manifesting, because they're very similar to the manifesting things as well. So non-judgment is one, acceptance, trust, letting go, beginner's mind, patience, non-striving, gratitude, and generosity. Oh my goodness, there's a few of them, isn't there? When I talk about those things, does anything kind of perk up to you and think, oh my goodness, those are some things that I could work on?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I go back to, this is a present, or this is a practice. It isn't a perfect, but this is one of the things I love about teaching this, and it's what I go through in my course thoroughly, is all of these attitudes and how we can put them into your life and how you can practice it. And I give you a lot of different things to take home, to work on, to practice each of these. But today I wanted to share with you 3 of the attitudes, just to get you started on the path to being more present, having a much more self-loving life, being more focused, getting more done, being more effective, all of those things that are just part of being present. Because I truly believe we often, Denise, you said it, we have to squeeze out the present with, worrying about the future and what might come or might not come, or ruminating about the past. Anybody understand this, where we often get caught up in what happened in the past, or we worry about the future?
Absolutely.
Right? And so here is the only moment we truly have. It's the only moment we truly have to feel, to smell, to taste, to hear, to see. All of those things is only in this moment, and this is the only moment we have to make choices. And so often we squeeze out this present moment with worries about the future and ruminating about the past. So that's why I truly believe this is so important to talk about and to teach, to be able to live a life that's fulfilled and create the life that you really want. Being present is really important to that. So I'm going to start with non-judgment. We talked about this a little bit, and I know, Sharon, you said, well, this is a tough one for me.
It is.
It is, But you know, we're making judgments all day long. Okay? We're making judgments. This is good. This is bad. This is pretty. I don't like this. I like that. And we've often just thought of judgment as judging harshly or judging that this is bad. But judging can also be you judge something as good or that you like it. It isn't just that you are judging something negatively. So it's often common to discover that we are always or constantly generating judgments about our experience. Almost everything is labeled and categorized in your mind. Good, bad. People, events are judged as good or bad just by how we felt. And they tend to dominate our minds. And it makes it difficult for us to find peace within ourselves. Because we're always judging everything around us. So here's the thing. The first step to starting to be non-judgmental is to be aware of your judgments. Okay, so when I think this blue might be really pretty to me, and I like it, but it might not be to you. And so when we're looking at non-judging, we're looking at facts. So this is blue, but to me it's a pretty blue, but that's not a fact. That's my judgment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? When we're looking at that. And so it's really important to start being aware. Oh, I've just made a judgment there. And here's the thing. Don't judge the judgments. It puts heavier, it just makes it heavier and heavier. It's okay that we judge. It's just bringing that awareness to the fact that we are judging, and don't judge ourselves. Don't judge the judging. Kind of a funny thing, isn't it? But when we start to become aware that we are judging without judging the judging, we can start to kind of free ourselves of those judgments, because we can take a look back and say, oh, boy, I just said I don't like that. I don't like, I'll tell you, fish. I don't like the taste of fish, any kind of seafood. But I judged that before tasting, and I was definitely pushed on this. I was pushed to say, when's the last time you've tasted fish? And I said, it's been a long time. And I was pushed, why don't you taste it? And for me, it was, I am being very judgmental. Now I tried the fish and I still don't like it. But at least I allowed myself to be aware of the judgment of that fish, of the taste to me. And then I also allowed it to be just my judgment, that it didn't have to be for everyone. It's not, fish is not terrible for everyone. In fact, my family loves fish. And so they have it all the time. And I've just never been able to do that. But if I kept that judgment, my family would never be able to enjoy it, because I would be so full of judgment on that fish. But it's really important to continue to just bring that awareness of when you're judging, so that you can sit back and say, okay, what am I judging? Why am I judging this? Is this a fair judgment? And you know what? It's okay that I judged. And don't judge that judging. I'm going to tell you about a client I had that was working with me in that group. And he'd been off work with some anger challenges. And he returned to work while we were doing the program. And he was like, I don't know about this hippie stuff. I think he called it his hippie mindfulness stuff. And we just said, okay, we'll give it a try. And that week we were working on walking mindfully without judgment. And he went back to work and he came back the next week and he just said to me, he said, Leslie, I tried it. I tried your hippie stuff. And he said, and I gotta tell you, it really works. And it was really funny because he was so surprised. Excuse me, within a few days of of when he showed up back to work, his boss had called him into the office. And normally that would have sent him up, up where he wasn't really, he was worried about, he was on the defensive. It would have, brought his anger up and his anxiety. And he said, no, I've got to try this walking. And so he took those couple of minutes. It took him from where he was to get to his boss's office, walking mindfully. And all this means is he allowed his thoughts to clear and really focused on what his muscles were doing, how his balance was keeping, all of those things, his breathing. And when he got to his boss's office, his boss just wanted to bring him in to say, I've noticed you're doing a great job since you've been back. It's good to have you back. And he was the first to say that had he stayed in that judgment, that his boss was going to get him trouble and not brought himself into the present, into the walking, he would have been on the defensive as soon as he walked in, and he would not have been ready to hear that. And in fact, might have started a fight with his boss. And so it made the difference for him just to notice that judgment, do something about it, bring himself back into the present. And then he was open to hear some really great feedback, which made the difference for him. Excuse the loud vehicle that just drove by. And the second one I want to talk to you a little bit about is acceptance. Acceptance. When I say acceptance, what does that mean to you? Acceptance. What does that bring up for you?
Sort of making peace with something,
Okay.
making peace with maybe something that you don't particularly like, but you accept it, or making peace with someone, an acceptance of someone.
Right. Beautiful. Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else have comments on what acceptance means?
Well, I always go to the serenity prayer because I've been taught that, but you have to just realize what you can do something about, what you can't, right? Seeing that you have no control over whatever it is.
Right.
Once you realize that, you can accept it easier.
So accepting what you have control over and what you don't have control over, and moving from that space.
And the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah.
Yes. Lovely. Lovely. Yes. So acceptance is a lot of things to everyone. I'm going to tell you a little bit about when I came to a point of acceptance in my life. It wasn't long ago that I was working in public health, and I was doing everything as a nurse. You ran around like crazy, working through breaks. My colleague that I'd worked with for many years had just left the job, and so I had a lot more on my shoulders with a younger nurse working with me in the mental health clinic that I was in. And I had transitioned. I met the love of my life, and we were married. And so my two older girls were the first time on their own. My mom, the first time on her own in many decades. And my youngest was living with us. And my husband went from being in his home with his fish to being in his home with me, my daughter, his fish, my cat, and my dog. And so I worried about everyone as we were making this transition, and I was working long hours and I was checking in on everybody, checking in. And one day I got vertigo. Oh my goodness. I got vertigo so badly that I was in bed. The room was spinning. It had been like I was on a bender, which I hadn't had the fun of that, but I was laying in bed and the room was spinning and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do all those things I normally do. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't help my family, all of those things. And so I started to check into it and see what it might be. And it got a little better with some of the treatments, but I never really was going away. And as days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months and things just weren't, getting to the point where I could do all those things, I finally sat down after all this guilt of not being there for my clients, not being there for my family. And there's just this guilt about, not doing things. I finally sat down and I remember the day and just sitting there and saying, all right, universe, you have stopped me completely. What is it that I'm not learning? And it was in that moment of acceptance of where I was, because I kept trying to be somewhere that I wasn't. It was in that moment of acceptance where things really were, that things changed for me. And that is when I was able to, I attended a summit for a gal that that I'd gone to high school with and just reconnected with. And it was there that I connected with a few people. And Denise, you will know these people. One of them helped me to write my international best-selling book, Defunk Yourself. And the other one reminded me of my divinity and reminded me of my healing and my ability to help others heal, and encouraged me to continue this path of really of spirituality and being this person that does both the science and the spiritual. And so that's what acceptance, for me, it changes everything. Because when you are accepting, you are seeing things as they actually are. So if you have a headache, accept that you have a headache. If you're overweight, why not accept it at this point? Because we waste so much energy denying and resisting what is already a fact. And when we do that, we basically force situations to be the way we would like them to be. What do you think that does? That doesn't help things at all when we try to make things be what we would like them to be rather than what they are. And it actually prevents positive change. We're so busy denying, forcing, struggling. We have so little energy left for healing and growing. And I can tell you this 100% because I've been there. Now, acceptance doesn't mean that you like everything or that you abandon your principles or your values. Doesn't mean that you're satisfied with things as they are, or that you're resigned to tolerating things as they have to be. Doesn't mean that you should stop trying to break free of your own habits. Give up on your desire to change and grow. Or that you should tolerate injustice, for instance, or avoid getting involved in changing the world. acceptance simply means that you are seeing things for what they are. Because we can only move from where we are, not where we'd like to be. So acceptance is a really important thing to put into your life, to make the change, to create the life you want. It starts with seeing things as they actually are. All right, I told you I was going to go through 3 things, and here's the third thing. It's beginner's mind. So tell me, I'd love to hear, and I know some of you have been through this with me. Beginner's mind, when I talk about beginner's mind, what does that mean to you? And it's either unmute if you want to, or write it in the chat, whichever way you would like to do that. Yes, Sharon.
Well, I'm not really sure what beginner's mind means. Maybe it's about starting from square one and going forward with no preconceived notions.
Nice. So not really deciding how it's supposed to be. Going with a clear mind. Beautiful. Thank you, Sharon. Denise, I saw you on mute.
Well, I was going to say that pretty much exact same thing. It's and it makes you teachable. So, like Sharon said, you have no preconceived judgments or whatever about it. Makes you can listen like you've never heard it before or seen it before.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. So no preconceived ideas, and listening or seeing it as if for the first time. How challenging is this one?
Pretty challenging.
Yes, exactly. It's very challenging. So let me talk a little bit about beginner's mind. Again, just like you talked about, it's kind of going into things like there's no preconceived ideas. So too often we are thinking our beliefs about what we know prevent us from seeing things as they really are. So we look through this lens of our past experiences at life, or at the things we're doing, and so often we miss things because we're looking at it through that lens. So when we start to look at things with beginner's mind, it allows us to be receptive to new possibilities. It prevents us from getting stuck in the rut of our own expertise. Sometimes we really think that we're experts. And yes, we do have expertise. But sometimes that expertise keeps us stuck in thinking we know everything and not being open to new possibilities. And that's where beginner's mind comes in. I see this a lot when we're dealing with people that we know, that we might be seeing them, we're familiar, and we have judgments about how they've been or how we feel about them, and we interact with them from the lens of those judgments. Does this sound familiar? Right? So I'm going to ask you, because I think the beginner's mind is truly important, looking at a situation as if a child that's seeing it for the first time. Next time you see somebody who's familiar to you, ask yourself if you are seeing that person with fresh eyes, as he or she really is. Or are you only seeing the reflection of your own thoughts of that person? But this can really transfer into anything going into a situation that we've gone into before. And, making those assumptions based on our past experiences can interfere with our ability to really see the picture as it truly is, and we miss a lot of things. And I was had a client, and again in another one of my groups, and we were talking about beginner's mind and how important it is just to open your eyes and look at things as if you have not seen them before. In fact, even just saying, you know what, I am just going to look for at least something I haven't heard before or seen before. You'll be amazed what you find. But we went away that week, and this was what we were working on and focusing on this week, was beginner's mind. And she came back the next week and she said, I have walked from my house to the bus stop every day for years. And she said, I decided to do this beginner's mind. And did you know that I'd forgotten I walk over a bridge? I just noticed that I walk over a bridge in the park to the bus stop. And there are some really beautiful flowers beside the bridge. And she was amazed at the difference it made, because we do so many things automatically rather than going into it with an open mind and seeking to find things that maybe we haven't seen before. And when she did that, she saw this lovely scene ahead of her that she hadn't seen for a very long time, and was able to enjoy the beautiful flowers that are there. Beginner's mind, really, really, truly important to being open to the possibilities in your life and even making a better life for yourself. So how can we incorporate presence or mindfulness into life? I said before, I think meditation is absolutely very, very important. And if you can, and when you can, it's really important to incorporate it into your day, to connect with yourself in that way. But I've found that there's a lot of times when we're already feeling overwhelmed, and people just they're like, please don't add another thing to my day. I'm already busy. And so when you're first starting to put presence or mindfulness into your day, it's really important to start with the things you're already doing. So how many walk? How many walk every day? You can either say me, or, put your hand up, me in the chat.
Almost every
Who walks
day.
every day?
Almost every day.
You walk every day?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I got a thumbs up from Samantha. Awesome. Okay, this is a bit of a trick question. And some of you have heard this before. I walk every day from my bedroom to my kitchen. I walk from my car to a meeting, to the grocery store. I walk from my living room to the bathroom. We move from one place to the other. And the reason why I think this is really important is because we do this every day, and this is often a time where we allow our thoughts to go. Does that make sense to you? Where this is a time where you're thinking about all the things you need to do in the day, or worries. When you're going into, say, a doctor's appointment, you're thinking about all the worries about why you're going in, or into a meeting, making those plans, and our mind just goes. And what that does is that leaves us already in this state of feeling a bit anxious or unsettled. And so I like to call these steps your transition steps. And I think they're incredibly important, because we can use these steps to start being more mindful. So how do you do that? Well, again, when you get up from the bedroom, say walk into the kitchen to put your coffee on, often you're thinking about all the things you need to do, the list of things you need to do in the day. And I would like to challenge you or encourage you to now start slowing those thoughts down and focus, even just for those 10 or 15 seconds, on the incredible things your body is doing to get from point A to point B. how your muscles are moving, how your feet are balancing, how your hands and arms are swinging. Maybe your hair is moving in the breeze. Really focusing on that allows you to slow your mind down even for those few seconds. And in the beginning, your brain, because it thinks 24/7, that's what it does, it might say, hey, but this is the time we plan our day, or this is the time that we got to get ready for this meeting. And it's okay to say to your brain, thank you for reminding me of that, but right now I want to focus on my walking. Excuse me, my throat must be a little dry today. And almost like a conveyor belt, you can say thank you and let that thought go through your mind and drop off and focus back on your walking. And your brain might go, oh, but hey, this is really important stuff we're not thinking about right now. And you can say thank you. So acknowledging it is a really, really important step of this. Trying to push it away only brings it closer or stronger. So acknowledging it first. Thank you. Thank you. Right now, I want to focus on my walking. So let it go through. And you might have to do this over and over again when you're first starting the practice. Remember, I said mindfulness or presence is a practice. It's not a perfect. It's a practice. And so it takes time. And your body, your brain is teachable. You can teach your brain what you want to think about. I know that's hard to believe sometimes because it feels like we don't have control of our brain sometimes when it's just going and going. We most certainly do. It just takes time and reminding it. And the more you practice it, the easier it will be. And you'll find those transition steps will become easier. And as you start to bring your thoughts down and bring the presence into those transition steps, make an incredible difference to your day. I can guarantee it. That you start slowing those thoughts down, that your day will you'll be clearer, more focused. You'll be much more effective wherever you're going. You'll get more done. It seems counterintuitive sometimes when I say don't think about all the things you need to do because you'll get more done if you focus in the moment, but it's true. You can really start to create that life just by doing a few of these things. So what's another place that you can that you do already that you can put mindfulness into? Okay, who eats every day? Oh, Denise, tell me.
Like I was gonna say washing dishes.
Oh, washing dishes. This is a great.
I have to wash dishes now.
Yes, it's a great place to be mindful. We don't wash dishes like we used to anymore for not the rest, not a lot of us do that. We're often rinsing and throwing it right in the dishwasher. But if you want to just take a few mindful moments after a busy dinner, wash the dishes and, smell the soap suds, watch the suds, feel the water in your hands. As you do that, watch the food come off the plates. It's really a great mindfulness practice and something you're already doing. Eating is another thing. How many of us eat? Yeah, we all eat, right? So I'm going to encourage you and challenge you to eat more mindfully. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to eat slower. It just means while you're eating, you're paying attention to everything, the texture, the taste, the smell, how it feels. Does it taste differently at the front of your mouth, to the back of your mouth? All of those things are really important to just slow down And one of the things I like to talk about is there's a lot of coffee drinkers, tea drinkers. I'm a tea drinker. But when you've had an especially hectic day, it's really great to take the time to have a cup of tea or whatever it is, your preferred beverage, but not just to drink it mindlessly, but to spend a few moments with your tea or your coffee or your juice or whatever it is that you enjoy, or your water, and just really taste it and smell it and feel it and just be in that moment. And there's lots of different ways. So you're eating already, why not eat mindfully rather than mindlessly, and start bringing mindfulness more into your life. Showering. I know this, who showers or baths? Okay, I think everybody does. But this is a wonderful place. The shower, I take more showers than I do baths, so I'll talk about the showers. This is another place where we often just let our minds go on what we need to do in the day, but such a rich experience when you do it mindfully. Just the sound of the water, the feeling of the water over your hair, over your body, the smell of the soap, the shampoo, the feeling of the suds. I wouldn't say you want to taste the soap, but some of it's edible, so if you want to, but you get my point. It's really experiencing that shower, excuse me, with all of your senses, so that you can just be in this moment and bring those thoughts down. And when you're done, you're way more effective, way more ready to create the rest of your day, because you've had those moments of presence and mindfulness. Another thing, spending time with loved ones. How many times have we been with our loved ones and we've been really distracted? Distracted with, a big one is the phone, your cell phone or TV, or worrying about work. This is something that I see a lot of times with work or business, where you're at work or you're at, working on your business, and you're worrying about stuff with your family. And so you're not getting as much done with work or business because you're worrying about your family. And then you go to your family or your loved ones, and you're worrying about all the work you didn't get done. So you're not really effective in either place. So it's really important to start really deciding that I'm going to be present here in this moment. Yes, emergencies come up and we've got to deal with them, but for the most part, we can focus on work for half an hour, if that's all we can focus on, or an hour, and allow those, disturbances to just be that, just be on the side, to be able to focus, and you'll get way more work done. Imagine spending the time with your loved ones where you're fully focused on the time with them, whether it's a conversation or whether it's playing games or doing something you enjoy. Can you imagine the difference that makes to your relationships when you are fully present with your loved ones in whatever you're doing? Huge difference. Takes practice, because we've gotten out of practice in doing that. There was a time when, and I'm aging myself here, before cell phones, before all of those things, where mindfulness was just kind of built into our days. I lived in a small village, and we would drive into the big city, and we didn't have anything but what was in the car. And so we would chat, or we would sing together, or we would play cards, or we could, observe what was going on outside the car. But now, with all of these things that were meant to save us time, we're now taking our time, because now we're in the car planning for our next step, or being off somewhere else. And so that's why I think this is really important, of really being purposeful with your presence. Being present allows you to slow your thoughts down. It allows you to be more effective in your business, in work, in your life, your personal life. And it allows you to create the life that you truly want for yourself. You truly want for yourself. So I told you at the beginning, I'm just going to talk to you about how you can work with me. And so I want to tell you a little bit about the program that I have, Rise to the Power of Your Presence. It's a 6-week program. It's online. We meet in 90-minute group sessions once a week. And each session is recorded. There's a Facebook group, private Facebook group for interacting and being, part of the community. And I'll teach each of these presence attitudes to you to start, encouraging you to be more present, more, finding more joy, more focused, better relationships. We'll do all of that in these 6 weeks together. And it's very interactive. We practice while we're in class, and I leave you with practice for the week as well. And if you've ever worked with me before, I like to be interactive. This is a lot of talking for me today, actually. I love to be interactive. I love to hear how you're doing. And so there's a lot of interaction. And I have worksheets. And as part of my Rise to the Power of Your Presence, there's also recorded hypnosis that you'll have that you can listen to whenever you get a chance to be able to start creating that life you want and being more present. Imagine what that would do for you to start being more present in your life. Imagine the calm. Imagine getting things done more efficiently and effectively. Imagine closer relationships with your loved ones. Having better focus, more joy, better decision making, less stress, more creativity, and imagine you growing as a person, and you're growing. If you've got a business, this goes into your business too. Can you imagine creating the life that you want, you truly want? I'm putting a link in the chat. And I invite you to join the Rise to the Power of Your Present, where in only 6 weeks, you can make all those changes. Investment is $597, or to make it easier, you can make 2 payments of $359. Click on the link, join me, and see the difference 6 weeks can make when you have the right support and the right training. It may help you create the life you want by rising into the power of your presence. Thank you for joining me today. I'd love to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions or comments, please unmute, put them in the chat.
What are the dates, or what's the date? I don't remember to see it in here. I could be just
Yeah. Second, I'll give you the dates.
just skimming it, so I might have missed it.
Oh, I didn't put it on there. My apologies.
Okay.
Starts in August. And it starts August 9th. I did this in August because I wanted everybody to be prepared for when the busyness comes. In the fall, everybody gets so busy. And, normally summer is, maybe not as popular, but I also know that you guys need to be prepared for when the fall comes, when all the busyness comes. So yes, I will put that into that as well, the dates. Thank you for telling me, Denise. Any other questions?
Is the time in there as well? I have things on Wednesday, so I just want to.
Yes, absolutely. It's 2 p.m. Mountain.
Mountain.
I know
You're
it's
on
kind of,
Mountain, right?
what's that?
You're on Mountain.
Yes, I'm in Mountain. And I know that changes whether we're in daylight savings or not.
Yeah.
For you. So it's Mountain Standard. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you.
Sorry.
Samantha here. I just want to say
Hi.
thank you. Yeah, cool. Yeah,
Oh,
come across you before, and then how I do my mindfulness now is I had really bad insomnia. So then I started saying to my brain, like you said, say thank you for waking me up to tell me that. But we will have half an hour just together before I get up. So now I can go back to sleep, and then I always make sure that I have half an hour to sort things out before I get up. There you go.
lovely. What a wonderful way to bring
And actually,
that.
I don't wake up at, well, if I do wake up at 3 o'clock now, I can just say, yeah, we'll talk about that before I get up, sort of thing. We'll have I always have this half an hour little talk time in my brain before I get up. And yeah, I sleep all right now, so that's good.
Awesome. And so you've retrained your brain, right? You've been able to say,
Yeah.
you know what, this isn't the time. I want that in, right? So good for you. Good for you for building that in. That's a huge it's a huge change, and it makes an incredible difference when you're getting that sleep in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a lot happier.
Wonderful.
I know what you say then. Because of that, you get on better with your family, and then you get on better with everyone in general. And you think everybody else looks happier, and you think, are they actually happier? Or is it just because I'm happier? That sort of thing,
Yes.
I worked in a little bakery shop, and when the customers used to come in, they'd be so grumpy and that, and they would just take their money. But now that I've been able to sleep and feel better when I'm at work, they seem happier, and some of them actually know my name now, and I think, whoa, now that's a difference. And they say, oh, thank you, Samantha,
Yeah, it makes an incredible difference. Absolutely. When you are present, and it makes a difference to others too, on being present, right? It really does. Absolutely. Thank you,
Anyway.
Samantha.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
I'm off
you.
to bed now. It's 12
Thank
o'clock
you.
in the UK.
Well, thank you for joining us, Samantha. It was so lovely to see you.
Cool. I'm sure I'll come across you again. Right then.
Take care. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today, and being with me to learn a little bit more about presence. And if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out.